Hey everyone. Everyone had a good week so far? I see some nods.
Hello. Yeah.
Yep.
Probably really cool.
Say that again, Dylan.
What do we need for this class?
So you're gonna need a sheet of paper.
Can it be any paper?
Well, I have a black sheet of paper. You can use a regular sheet of paper. I also have another paper that's just a square. And then you're gonna need some scissors.
Okay, I have both of them. What we were going to do today? It looks really cool.
A pencil, and then you're gonna need some glue.
Okay.
So make sure you have all those supplies.
Can I get a pencil quickly?
Of course you can, yeah.
Can it be colored pencil?
It can be a colored pencil. We're not gonna add any color, but we're just using our pencils so we can trace a design and then cut it out with our scissors.
Can it be like a black colored pencil?
It sure can. That's totally fine, yeah. All right. I'm gonna give everyone a second just to make sure you have all your supplies. Does anyone need to grab anything else, or is everyone got everything? Rhiannon and Heather Rose are getting theirs.
Should be like a small or big piece of paper?
You're gonna want one big and one small. See how I have a little square and then I have this large sheet? That's what you'll want. You'll want that.
Should they be different colors?
They sure can, like mine. Yeah, you can have different colors. Actually, it'll work out much better if you have two different colors.
Does origami paper work?
Origami paper works perfectly.
Oh, I have origami paper.
And it's already a square, so you don't have to cut it.
This is my sheet of paper.
Awesome.
And then can I just get my origami paper?
Yeah, of course. Okay, I'm gonna start talking about our project today. So we are creating what's called a notan. And notan is Japanese. It represents balance. And what we usually do, what I typically use is origami paper because it's already a square. But we're going to cut out different shapes and create a design that's either symmetrical or asymmetrical. I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. But before I talk about that, or show you that, I wanted to talk about the idea of positive and negative space. So when we're creating our notans, or in real life.
So now that you know what these two are.
Is someone, okay, no. So when you are, I'll give you myself as an example. So if you're looking at me and I have my arms like this, negative space is this space in between my arm and my body. So there's nothing really there. That's called negative space in art. When you have positive space, that would be my arm and myself. So when you have something that's the positive space, that's usually the object or the thing in the image that's taking up space. The negative space is the whole area around it. So we are gonna, our element that we're focusing on today is space. And we're just creating a project that looks at the negative and the positive space. So if you're in nature, it's a beautiful day outside today in Orange County at least. So if you walk outside and you're staring at the trees, if everyone can envision this, you're looking up in a tree and you know how you can see the sun shining through the branches and the leaves? When you're looking at that, the area where the sun is shining through, that's all the negative space. So we get to see the beautiful light that comes in between the leaves and the trees. The tree itself, the leaves, the branches, the trunk of the tree, that's all the positive space. So how we're gonna start is you're gonna want to take your square and your large sheet of paper. I'm just going to set my large sheet of paper on the table, and I'm going to angle my camera in just a second so you see what I'm doing. But there's two different ways that we can do this, and I wanted to show you both ways. Now, let me angle this real quick for everybody. All right, so I have my sheets of paper here. I have my pencil so I can create some designs. And I have my scissors and my glue. Before I glue anything down, what I'm going to do is draw some designs. So I hope everyone got a chance to look at the really beautiful examples of Notans that we have on our website. But one easy way, if you want something that's symmetrical on two sides, you're going to take your smaller square and you're actually going to fold it in half once. And then you'll fold it in half a second time. So you have this little tiny square now. So I folded that. And usually what you can do is start to draw some patterns, some different shapes that you want to see on your Notan. And you can usually fit about 2 shapes on each side. The very important part about this is once you start drawing your shapes, you want to make sure they hit the very edge of your paper. So I'll show you. If I just draw, maybe I just want to draw a zigzag line.
There's a question. Are we supposed to have 2 squares?
No, you don't have to. If you want to do a second one, you're welcome to. I'm just showing you 2 different ways that you can do it. Okay, so if I draw my 2 shapes, so does everyone see how my pencil marks go to the very edge of my paper? That's what you want to make sure. And you want to make sure they're nice and big too. You have to cut these out. So if you draw really teeny tiny little shapes, your hands are going to cramp up because you're trying to cut these little teeny objects out of your paper. Now that I have my 2 shapes here, I'm going to add 2 more on every single side. So I'm only drawing shapes on the side of my paper, and I want to avoid these corners. We want to keep the corners there so our piece stays together. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I'll draw, I don't know, let's draw a triangle.
My type of paper like had a design on it.
Oh, that's okay. As long as you know where you're cutting, that's totally fine. If you don't mind cutting over that, that's okay.
There's a question. Should we be following along?
You definitely can. If you want to wait and you want to see the second one after that, the second one, I'm just actually not going to fold my paper. So I'm going to draw my designs without folding it. So if you were, so here's all my designs here. So I've created a shape. They're nice and big because I can cut out everything easily. It takes up the whole sheet of paper. So that's done. That one's done. I'm going to set that aside and I'll show you this one real quick too. With this one, you have a lot more space to create some really large design patterns in here. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to fill up every side with different types of shapes. So I'm going to do an example that we had online. I'm going to use another sheet of paper.
Another question. Can we draw flowers?
You can. You just want to make sure these shapes are on the side like this. So if you draw half a flower, you can do that. It might be a little complicated if you haven't done one before. So I might suggest sticking with something simple. And then once you do one, you could always do a second one and attempt a flower too. Okay, so what I'm going to do trace a nice big triangle. Oops.
I think Dylan would like to share. I see her hand up.
It's a question, not a share.
Oh,
So
question.
after you do like all the shapes, then what do you do on the other side?
You're not going to do anything on the other side, but I'll show you what to do as soon as I am done tracing this.
Is
Which I
this
just went. Yeah, that's perfect. You might not be able to, Dylan, cut out that diamond that you have because it's not on the edge of your sheet of paper.
Oh, maybe can I erase it?
You can definitely erase it.
I'll try to, because mine paper is kind of like a little bit like shiny. It feels like kind of like plastic or something. I don't know.
Okay.
There's a question. Are we supposed to cut it?
You will be cutting it. So I apologize for the delay. I'm just showing you the example for the other sheet of paper real quick. And then we'll move on to cutting everything. Okay, so I'm just about done tracing this.
Can this be the replacement?
On the edge, yeah, definitely.
Instead of that.
Yes.
But can I try cutting that diamond that I first did?
Yes, definitely. Okay, so just as an example, so does everyone see, I have my little one right here. I've traced all my shapes on the edges, and on this one, I've done the exact same thing. It's just that my paper is not folded. So I have these designs, and I made sure they're touching the edges still, and I also avoided my corners. So I just have these shapes here. So if you have completed cutting or drawing and tracing all your shapes, now you can go ahead and cut them out. So I'll show you on this one first. So I'm going to start by cutting out the square. And this is why you want to try to keep it on the very edge, because the only things you want to be cutting out
Dylan has her hand up.
is this shape.
Do you
Hey, Dylan.
cut like all the thick pieces of the paper or just the first layer?
You cut all the sheets of paper. So if you can see, what I've done is cut everything out. Now,
Okay.
the next important step is once you cut it out, you want to keep your scraps. Don't lose these scraps. We're actually going to use them for our project. So I'm going to take my scraps of paper and I'm going to set them on my larger sheet right here. That way they're safe. I know where they're at. Once I've cut out one shape, then I move on to the next one. So I'm still cutting through all the sheets of paper.
Amin has his hand up.
Hello.
I don't have origami paper. I'm just cutting out a 4x4 inch paper.
That's perfect. I'm actually doing the same exact thing that you are. I had construction paper at my house, and that's what I'm using. Origami paper is nice to have just because it's already cut out. So I have my scraps. I'm going to hang on to those. Don't want to lose those. So now I'm starting to have something that looks like this. I'm going to continue to cut out all my shapes all the way around. Hang on to those. All right. All right, I have all of my shapes cut out. This is what you should see if you've cut everything out. And now what we're gonna do is open this up. And then you have something super neat like that. This almost looks like a little face. If you look at the ears right here, right? Eyes, nose, and a mouth. All right, I have my 4x4 square here and my scraps. So I'm just gonna move my scraps out of the way a little bit, because now what I'm gonna do is set down my sheet of paper on my larger sheet. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. The examples that we have on our website, these are, the larger sheet of paper is actually cut out once we're done. But you can either have it in the center like this, or if you want to make it interesting and have it at an angle, you can also do that as well. And now we're going to treat this just like a little puzzle. So I have my paper set in the center. And then I'm just going to I'm going to take my scraps of paper and I'm going to find where they go. So the trick with this part is you have these shapes that are right in the center. So what you're actually going to do is almost flip it out like this and create the same amount of space here from your square as there is right here from the edge. So hopefully, so see how I have my square, my rectangle right in the center, and there's a gap between this shape and the edge. So this nice gap right here that I have between the edge of my sheet and this shape, I'm going to make that same space here. So I'd glue it out probably far away like that. Because once I match up my other shape, this one right here, I'm going to do the same thing. So there is some space from the edge. Oh, I can't pick this up. There's some space from the edge. So here's the edge of my shape, and I cut it out. There's a little tiny gap in between. So I'm going to do the same thing there. Create a little space. So that way it is basically mirrored like that. And then you would do the same thing on the other side. So I have the same exact pattern. So I'd glue that out. And do the same thing here. Now I have a little bit less space, so I'm going to rotate mine. If you are, so say you have a nice long shape that you've cut out. If it hangs off the edge of your paper a little bit, like that, I think that's actually pretty interesting. So you don't have to worry about staying in the sheet. If you want one of your shapes to come off the paper, you can leave it like that. I think that would be great.
Rhiannon, Dylan has her hand up.
Hey, Dylan.
All I've done so far is that.
That's totally fine. So once you do that, go ahead and take your that square, and you're going to set it down on your larger sheet of paper that you have.
My larger sheet of paper, those are that big. Oh. Do you think that's big enough? Our sheets of paper are just regular sheets of paper.
That's mine too. Mine's just an 8.5.
Do you think this is big enough?
What does your square look like on top of it?
Here, I'll show you.
It might be a little small, but if you want to see what, if you want to try it out and see what it looks like, you're going to have some shapes hang off the edge. If you have anything a little bit bigger, it might be easier.
It's because I had to cut out the piece of paper because my pieces of paper are all in a book thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, if you don't mind your shapes hanging off your paper a little bit, that should be fine. You can try it that way.
Sophia has her hand raised.
Sophia.
I think I like did it wrong because it doesn't really look.
I don't think that you did do it wrong, actually. So you have the bigger shapes on the sides. Is that just one big shape?
Like these different ones.
Uh,
I think
what-
I got ones on the outside and then, but I don't know how it went like this.
So you might have, it's hard to say since I'm not with you, but if you have the shapes that match up, so go ahead and set your square down on a sheet of paper. And if you have all your scraps match what you've cut out or the cutouts on your sheet, you should be okay. It doesn't look like you did anything wrong.
Okay.
That'll actually look really cool. Okay. So now this part is up to you, but sometimes what's easier for me is if I glue my larger sheet of paper if I glue my square down on my large sheet of paper, that way that stays still while I'm putting all my shapes together. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Just get a little bit of glue.
There's a comment, we don't get it.
Who?
Let's see, Liliana and Heather Rose. Do you want to ask?
Yeah. How's it going, ladies?
Because mine looks like this. So
That's perfect.
how are we supposed to put the shapes?
You're gonna put them, so see how my shapes are on the outside? Why don't you go ahead and start gluing your square that you have on your sheet of paper down right now? And it'll be
Okay.
easier once I move on to that.
Okay.
But let me know as I'm moving along if you need to explain something again too, because I don't want you to get confused. All right.
In the middle of the paper, right? The square
Yes.
goes right in the middle.
Yes.
Dylan has her hand up.
Is it okay, like, if, cause it's kind of confusing, cause, like, some of them on the sides, like, I can't find the shape. Oh, actually, I can. Never mind.
Okay.
Wait, but what about the shapes in the middle?
So those are the ones that I have right here. So see how I have these two rectangles right in the center?
Mm-hmm.
I found that scrap of paper, and you're basically opening it up like a book. So if you have everything sitting, if I matched everything up here.
Can you glue it? can I start gluing?
You can. Let me show you what you're gonna do. So if I matched all my shapes up, so here's
This
my
is
little.
what mine looks like. Wait, can you see that?
Not I can't see your project, Dylan. So let me explain this part for you real quick so that way everyone can follow along. So I've matched my center scraps with the cutouts. And I basically, if I were to flip it open like a book, these would all go out. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I don't block the camera. Almost like this. So I'm going to flip them out. So since these are right in the center, I'm going to flip them out the farthest. So that one would go out here. And then this one's closer to my shape, so this one would go out here. Now the edge pieces are easier because all I have to do is I have my shape here. And then I would just mirror that right up against it.
Rhiannon, Amin has his hand raised.
Wait, so can I
Hello.
start gluing?
I think I did it wrong. I sort of just put them away from each other. It made this. I don't know if I did something wrong or I did it correct.
No, that's totally fine. Actually, that looks really cool.
So
I like the way that you designed it. So if you want, what you can do is just kind of check out what I'm doing too, if you want to do another one as well, or do another one later on. But now I've just, so Dylan, I would just figure out where all your pieces go before you start gluing and glue last. So
Sophia, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
so I am matching up all my shapes with the cutouts. And like I said, your edge pieces, everything that's right on the edges here, you're gonna glue those down directly onto the edge. And then I have more that aren't on the edge right here. So I would try to create that same space. That way it's almost it's a mirrored reflection of what I have cut out and what I have here that I'm about to glue down.
Sophia
And then-
commented that her shapes don't match.
So as long as you kept all your scraps, the shapes should be able to match up. If you have some that are similar, that might be, maybe there's some that are a different size. So now what I'm doing with this is just finding all my pieces. So I have a rectangle here right in the center. So just like these, this is going to go out the farthest. And then I have my diamond shape here. And then these last two are going to go right on the edge. So if we bring it back to the negative and positive space, what happens is that your negative space in what you've cut out are these black areas. And then the positive space is your red square, this whole square. And then what happens when you flip out your shapes is that the black becomes, the red becomes the positive space out here, but then the negative space is everything around here. So now that I figured out where all my shapes are, now I'm gonna glue them down. It's easier to glue after you figured out where everything goes. That way, if you need to change where your shapes are, so say you have, like I said before, if you've cut out a shape that's similar to another one, but it's not quite the same size, you can figure out the correct place it needs to go. Another simple way to do this, or what's easier for me at least, is if I take my glue, I can just pick up a piece with the glue and lay that down like that. And just flip it. So again, I have my glue, just gluing this side, and then what I'm doing is just flipping it over. Just gonna do one shape at a time. Liliana and Heather Rose, how are you doing?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up? Okay, good. How's everyone else doing?
Oh, there's theirs.
Oh, how cool. I like the green and the orange. Those colors together are really nice.
Thank you, Jackie.
Dylan has her hand raised.
How are you doing, Dylan?
Can I start gluing? I basically glued most of it all down.
Yeah, if you figured out where all your shapes go, of course. Go
Except
ahead.
I can't tell like what you do in the middle. Like what the shapes that there was in the middle.
Oh, it might be kind of tricky because your paper is a little small.
Yeah.
Are you running out of room?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. So you can, it's up to you. If you want to, you can always, if you saw what Liliana and Heather Rose did, there someone glued some of their shapes inside of their square that they cut out.
Ooh, I have a good idea. Can I do my idea?
Yeah, of course. When you're done, let us know so we can see what you did.
Okay.
Karen and Kellen have their hands raised.
Where's
Hey
my
guys.
Wait. I can't find a piece. I can't find the match thing to my thing. I can't find them.
You lost all the scraps?
No. He
Just one of
can't-
them?
He just can't identify which ones fit on his.
So what I would do, if you saw what I did to show you, you can take some of your scraps, and what I would do is use this, basically treat this like a puzzle. So take your scraps of paper and try to match them up with where they go before you start gluing on the outside. That way you know where everything goes. So I have one of my scraps, I'll just match it here.
Okay. Can I show you mine so far?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Let me just make sure not all the pieces.
Who is that, Kellen?
Yeah, the chair.
Ooh, now what kind of, is that origami paper?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's why it's got such a beautiful color. Very neat, I like it.
Mine is flowers and something.
Oh, I love those colors too. I'll have to invest in some origami paper after this. Trying to use all my construction paper at home.
Is this good or did I make a mistake?
No, that looks totally fine, Dylan.
Is it?
I like the origami paper I use because I like it because it blends and yeah.
And it's really easy to fold, huh?
Yes, and really easy to cut.
Yeah. All right, so here's my first example. This is a notan. So once you get everything glued down, I have one that's not glued down. I would definitely probably check to make sure everything's glued down before you lift it up, because that would just be such a bummer. All right, now everything's glued down, and there is my Notan. So I have my other example too, and I'm actually just going to use the other side of this black sheet. So hopefully I don't have too much glue everywhere. All right. So
Megan
this is
said
the.
that was cool looking.
Thank you, Megan. So what I'm going to do is show you the second one I did. I'm going to finish. I just need to add a couple more shapes in here on the two other sides. So while everyone's working, I'm just going to add a little bit more to this one.
There's a question, were we supposed to do the second one too?
No, if you just want to work on one, that's okay. I only have two because I wanted to show you the two different ways to do it. If you'd like to work on a second one, by all means, I encourage it. Okay, so I'm adding my last little design in here.
Rosie would like to share hers.
Rosie, let's see it. Oh my gosh, I love that.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it looks so cool. Great job, Rosie.
Thank you. And now let's put it back on.
Okay, so I've drawn on all sides. So now I'm going to start cutting out.
Megan would like to show.
Megan, yeah, of course. Ooh, I love it. I like the green and purple together too. That looks so good, Megan.
Thank you.
I love doing the Notan projects. They make some really interesting designs. And every time I create one, I always end up getting something so different from the last time. And then it's fun to see what different types of shapes you can come up with as well. So just like my first one that I did, I'm saving all my scraps. And this one will be a little different because nothing is folded. These off to the side.
Oh, I think Sophia wanted to show hers.
Sophia, I'd love to see it.
Since I couldn't match these ones up, I made another one.
Okay, perfect.
It worked out.
It looks good. I can't wait to see when you start gluing it on your paper.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's another one here.
Oh my gosh, that looks so neat. Now, what did you use for your paper?
I think they're muted.
This is just from an old calendar.
An old calendar. Oh, that's such a great idea. The photos from old calendars, that would look so nice. I have some national parks calendars that would look pretty neat.
You want to do another?
Okay. So I'm cutting out my last group of triangles.
I'm gonna spotlight Amin's. He has his hand up.
Awesome. I mean, let's see it.
So I accidentally made something weird and then it fell apart and then it came back together somehow and it just looks weird. I don't think I can put this on my paper because it's white.
Oh, that's cool.
It just appeared. I don't even know how I made it asymmetrical.
That looks so cool, though. Do you have a different color sheet of paper that you could put on the background?
No.
No?
And
That would look cool.
graph because this is asymmetrical, so it wouldn't work.
Oh, that's true. Unless you get a really big sheet of paper that could fit all of it. Okay. So I have my different groups of designs for my second one all separated here. And I had these really neat sheets of paper that I've just had for a while. So I decided to use those. They're pretty neat. They have moths and butterflies on them. So I used one of those. So let's see how it turns out. All right, I take my glue and glue down my main square first. All right. So I've got that here. I'm actually going to do it at an angle this time. That way you can see what that looks like. Okay, now this is going to be the tricky part, is figuring out which ones went where. Oh, well, that guess was right on the first try.
Here's another one. This is one from earlier.
Oh, that looks so good. Oh, the old calendar is such a great idea. Very nice.
Taryn and Kellen were asking, is that on the back side? I think they're asking, is that on the back side of your first one?
Oh, yeah. Yes, this on the black sheet of paper? Or the brown sheet of paper?
I'll let them ask.
I don't get it because I don't know what we're supposed to do, and I don't know how she cut it out because I wasn't looking at anything on my screen. So I didn't know what she was doing. So I didn't get it. I didn't know what she was doing.
Oh, so you know, the very beginning when I showed the 2 different ways that you can draw your designs on your piece of paper,
Yes.
the first one was folding, and then the second one I just drew the designs without folding my sheet of paper.
Oh.
I'm just doing the second one where I didn't fold it. I just finished doing my designs just like the first one.
I think I'm gonna do both of them.
You're gonna do both of them? Awesome, that would be great.
But one on each different side of the paper. But one on each paper.
Yeah, that's what I did. So on the other side of this black sheet is my first example. All right.
It says
So
Liliana is done now.
Liliana is done. Ooh, let's see it. Oh, that looks so good. Great job.
I love those colors.
Yeah, me too. All right, so.
Simeon would like to show.
Yeah, let's see it.
This is mine right here.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love the shapes that you did.
Thank you.
They're really interesting.
Thank you.
Dylan had her hand raised.
Hold on, one last second. So this is what I've done so far. I'm not finished yet.
Ooh, that's cool. I like that it's taking up your entire sheet of paper. That looks really neat.
Thank you.
Very cool.
All right, so gotten this part to match up. All right, so I've got one side glued down. Now I just gotta find where everything else goes. This one goes over here. Well, the nice thing is that I have the pictures of the butterflies and the moths, so I can just match up all the wings together. That makes it easier for me right now. All right, and all these go over here. Okay, so now this match like that. Ooh, got some excess glue going on here. All right, this side is done. See, this is a little trickier for me on this attempt because all of these pieces came out. So basically what I'm doing is just flipping it so I have some space in between. So I'm taking one, putting it on the side.
There's a question asking, how do you do that?
So this one was actually a little trickier. But I'm using the same idea where I took, so what I did is I drew a bunch of triangles. So I'll just use this one as an example. So I traced a triangle here and then did a smaller one inside of that one, and then a smaller one inside of that one, and then a smaller one inside of that one. My paper is already glued down, so I can't really show you what I traced. I did it on the other side. That way the pencil marks wouldn't show up on this side. So when I cut it out, what happens is I have 4 pieces of triangle. So now all of these are separate. So basically what I'm doing here, it's a little tricky, but I'm taking every other one that's cut out. So here's my main square that's already glued down. So I'm going to take this one out to leave a gap. And just every other one. So I'm going to leave this one and now remove this one. And I'm just flipping it so it's on the other side.
Dylan has her hand up.
Can I share mine?
Of course.
Okay, now I finished, and this is mine.
Oh, how cool. Now the ones in the center, did you cut those out or is that a different sheet of paper?
It's just a different shade because I couldn't find something that matched that.
I
And
kind of
thought
like it.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it looks cool too. It's almost like little eyes right in the middle.
Edie has her hand up.
Can I leave?
Oh, Judy,
Yay.
that looks amazing. What size paper did you use?
So 8.5 by 11, but then for this thing was a square, so it must have been about an 8 by 8. But then this is a
Awesome.
big envelope from one of those big cards.
Oh, perfect.
So-
That's a good thing to repurpose.
Yep.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I love that. Nice and
Thank
big.
you.
All right.
Megan said that's cool.
Right? Repurposing that huge sheet of
Yeah,
paper.
very
That's a
cool.
great idea. The sheets of paper are from the butterfly paper that I have. Those sheets are already square and I cut them down, but they're pretty large. I should try that next. Make a huge Notan. All right, so I got 3 sides of mine down. And I got one more to match up. And all the times I've done this project, this is the first time I've used something with the design on it, and I think I like it better than just plain paper. Okay, so this one is a tricky one because I have so many pieces. Switch that up here.
Simeon has his hand up.
I'm
There you
finished.
go.
What should I do now?
You're finished? Did you show us your finished project? Or was that when you already showed us, right?
Yeah, I showed mine's already.
Awesome.
But I signed my signature on it.
Oh, that's cool. That's your signature?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
That's
Very nice.
creative.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is actually the whole project. So if you want to hang out and watch, you're welcome to. If you need to get going, no worries either.
Okay, I'll stay and watch.
Now we only have about 5 more minutes. And I'm just completing my last section here. Does anyone else want to share that hasn't gotten a chance to? Anyone make more progress that they want to show? I love seeing your projects.
Oh, it looks like Milo and Phoenix would like to share.
Milo Phoenix, that's such a cool name. Oh, how cool. I like that it's not a perfect square. You got like a rectangle going on. I like that.
Very cool. I like that green.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Of course.
That's Mom and Phoenix together.
So nice.
Thank you.
There's another one that I saw, would like to share.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Inspired, but it's not completely done yet. I like the way you did your triangles. I'm trying to do something similar.
Oh, that's gonna look really cool. I love the middle design.
Love that pattern.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. You got a good supporter.
Thank you.
Megan would like to show hers.
Megan. Ooh, very nice. You did a second one?
Huh?
I love that paper.
Yeah, it's like origami paper.
Oh, that's so neat.
Thank you.
I love the pattern. All right. Got one more. And
Oh,
come
Dylan
on.
would like to share.
Hold on, just one last minute.
No worries.
Okay, this is mine.
Ooh, what kind of paper did you use for that one?
Origami paper.
Oh, that's such a cool sheet of paper that you got.
Were those butterflies?
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
So nice. Great job, Dylan.
I think I have to leave because I have my ballet class at 4.
Okay, no worries. Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye.
Sophia would like to share.
All right, Sophia.
So I'm almost done, but I still have a bit.
Awesome. That looks so good. You're almost done. Really nice job. Are you happier with that second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Good.
It's a nice colors together.
Yeah.
Oh.
Megan's so supportive with all your O's. All right, so I finished my second one. So here it is. Yeah, I think I like using the, if you have paper that's got something, a print on it, it looks really interesting. It's a good thing to use. Awesome. Well, that is Notans. Thanks everyone for sticking with me. I know it got a little confusing, but we got through it. So for Friday, we do have some classes set up tomorrow. You have Lee's class at 10, and then Ben is teaching at 12. And then Friday, when I'm back at noon, we're going to be talking about the last art element of value. So with value, we are focusing on the use of light and dark. So we're gonna actually have there's a PDF on our website. So if you are gonna join us for that class, make sure you print out that PDF. It's a little picture of Wile E. Coyote, and he has a bunch of squares behind him. We're gonna practice using value and contrast, which is also light and dark together. So thank you all for joining us. Oh, for that class, you'll just need a pencil and that PDF, and that's it.
There's some great comments here on everyone's artwork. Liliana and Heather Rhodes said, you all did really, really well. You should all be proud of your works.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
Awesome. You're all so supportive. I love having you, all of you guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.